everyone, and welcome to January 26th. It is the Friday Field Report for ConnectWise. My name is Vicki Bruns. I'm the Principal Product Marketing Manager for the ConnectWise ecosystem, and I am joined here today with two awesome friends of mine who are also great influencers and advocates for the MSP community. Hey guys, how's it going? We've got
Good.
Wayne Self from CompTIA. Hey Wayne, and
Hi.
Robert Chaffee. Hey, CTO and co-founder for Progressive Computing. So it's so nice to see you guys.
Looks like we have more guests behind you.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I just ran out of carrots, but there's always hope that there's more, right? I tell them never give up, never give up. There's always a carrot right around the corner for you. So guys, we're here today to talk about CompTIA, and I know, Robert, there's a really compelling story that you've been sharing with the community on LinkedIn, and we wanted to invite you on here today because I think that it's such a great story to tell, and it really was a catalyst for some of the great offerings that CompTIA has created. So where do you guys want to start? I feel like that's probably a great place to begin the broadcast today. What do you think?
Sure. I mean, if just, I don't want to make any assumptions for the listeners. They may not necessarily know what happened. And of course, I don't have
Of course.
an hour or two to go through all the gory details. But, just in short, we were one of the Kaseya VSA victims on July 2nd of 2021. So we had 100% of our endpoints encrypted with legal signal.
I don't carry any cash.
And we were really in a bad place, facing certain annihilation. We had a massive math problem on our hands, being unable to recover every system that we needed to recover in the time frame that we needed to recover them. If you think about trying to get to all of your customers simultaneously, it's not something an MSP is designed to do. And so, Vicki, I think, and certainly Wayne knows lots of this portions of this story. And there's so many elements to talk about, but one of the most compelling elements in my mind can really be boiled down to one word, and that is community, right? Community came to save our asses. Do you have any donkeys behind you? Maybe, or are they asses? Or
He's right here. I don't know if you can see him.
I can see him. He's beautiful. Peers came to our aid. They flew in from different parts of the country. We had plenty of vendors, including ConnectWise and many others that provided us resources and talent and time in helping us overcome this, near certain death experience, and came out the other side of it, albeit singed, but fully recovered. And it was in August of that year when I was sort of reflecting back, being appreciative and grateful for having been able to walk through hell and come out the other side of it pretty much whole.
And this was July. This was July 2nd, 2021, correct? That this happened.
Yep. So we're coming up almost years now. And it was during that August timeframe when I was just so, reflective and appreciative of all the help that we received from so many different community members. And it dawned on me, it's probably because I've made such wise investments over the years of peering and getting involved in vendor conferences and making friends in the industry, and my business partner and I jointly have been doing this for, over a decade at that point. And it dawned on me that maybe others in this industry may not have had the opportunity to do that, either because they're relatively new to the industry or just never have put the time and energy into showing up and giving as much as they can. Maybe they're not necessarily seeing the value or whatever. And I sort of painted this picture in my head, Vicki, of an MSP who would be alone in that dark hour and not really have many friends to be able to reach out to like we did. And what would their fate be? So I felt like I needed to do something about that. And So just instinctually, and we can kind of talk about this more, and I can talk more about the attack as well. But I registered the domain name msp911.org with the intention that just it was pure visionary stuff, no tactical or strategy behind I would actually be able to execute on this idea, but sort of that idea of that if someone were attacked, if they were to undergo something like what we went through, that they would be able to go to this webpage and hit that giant red button to declare an emergency, or if we think about like in fire situations, right? Break glass in case of emergency, to be able to get the help at some levels that we received in that time. So I guess I'll pause there. I'm sure you guys may have some questions or some follow up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important to note too that the ransomware attack that your organization fell victim to, unfortunately, was part of a larger attack of, I think it was over 6.1 million in ransomware, right?
Well,
And
yeah, it was about
was it
50 or
more than
60.
that?
It was about 50 or 60 MSPs that were attacked. There was
Yeah.
$6.1 million in ransomware payments made. The initial
Okay.
demand was 70 million from Kaseya for a universal decryption key, or $6 million per MSP, or $45,000 per type. And of course, all that US dollars translated into Bitcoin, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so go
And
ahead.
so being vendor agnostic to all of this, this is something that can happen to anybody. And I mean, I was reading up about it last night because your post was so compelling, and the fact that you just read a victim impact statement last week, right? And where was it, in Dallas at the federal building?
Yep, I did.
When
So
they were sentencing or considering sentencing for Yaroslav Bazinski, right? Who was
exactly, you
the
got the name
so young,
right.
22 years old.
Well, it was 22 when he committed the crime. And
Okay.
so criminals think that they're slippery and immune. And in this case, um, through concerted efforts between the FBI, Interpol, and the Polish authorities, Yaroslav Wasinski in late 2021 was crossing the Ukraine-Polish border. He lives in the Ukraine, he's a Ukraine citizen. And what I learned was he was going back to school in Poland, and that was when he was apprehended and then extradited to the United States. So last week was his sentencing. He already pled guilty to all the charges that were brought against him, facing 115 years, which is essentially a life sentence. Even though I keep saying I'll live past that, but um, most people won't. So I went down there feeling this tremendous amount of, I felt like an inner calling that I needed to not only represent what happened to me personally, to my business partner, to our company, our employees, our families, our clients, and by extension, their families and circles of customers, but also the MSP community. And if I
Yep.
may be so bold to even go beyond that and say, I think the world, um, at least the small business owner and operator, every one of us in the world needed to be in that courtroom that day to deliver that statement. So I felt compelled to write something on our behalf of all the aforementioned people, um, and deliver that statement to the judge. One person challenged me online to say, do you really think that you're going to change the defendant's mind or his ilk? Do you really think that your words are going to have any impact on them? And my reply to that was, I have no expectation of changing their mind. I'm there to change the mind or influence the mind of the judge. So I felt we needed our day in court to make a clear statement of translating all the facts of this case into human impact, and that is exactly what I believe I delivered. So unfortunately, sentencing was delayed to March 1st because there's some legal proceedings going on. There's all these legal
Mm-hmm.
machinations that are way over my head, but I'm actually strongly considering going back down there just to listen to the sentencing.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to keep us up to date on how that progresses. We'd love to invite you back on for an update. And then I just wanted to say, Wayne, I see you're outside for the Friday Field Report too. Where are you at right now?
I am in beautiful downtown Tampa. There's Franklin Street, which is no cars are allowed on Franklin Street where I'm standing. It's all pedestrian walkway. I'm attending the official cybersecurity summit here in Tampa, going on today at the Hilton downtown in Tampa. So I'm outside. You said it was a field report, so I figured I'd do it from my phone. I've already had some folks walk up asking if I had could spare a couple of bucks or some change. So I apologize for that noise. But yes,
That's okay. But I mean, that's the beauty of, being outside and being in the streets, being in the field. You never know what's going to happen,
right, exactly.
So the things that Robert were talking about, right? Such a compelling story, and he mentioned that he created this concept of having a place or having a resource, right, where MSPs in need in their darkest hours could go. So, can we talk about what that was the catalyst for and how CompTIA got involved? Wayne, could you start us off with that?
Yeah, I'll start off because Robert actually has the entire backstory here because he was the one that brought it up to MJ.
Yeah.
But really, as Robert mentioned, for us at CompTIA, it's all about helping the community, right? For your listeners that may not know the answer to this, yes, CompTIA is more than just certifications. We're a vendor neutral, not-for-profit trade association. It just so happens we're fortunate enough to be a self-funded not-for-profit through the certification set, right? So all of the revenues that we take in go back to the community in the forms of all of these things that we have going on, right? The emergency response team, which I know Robert is very passionate about, would not be around if it wasn't for all of the community members, Robert included, actually bringing up this idea to MJ and getting it kicked off so that he could take the lemons that he was given on July 2nd and really make some pretty awesome lemonade, I have to say. So, Robert, you want to go into a little bit more on the how and...
Sure, I appreciate that setup there, Wayne. So it was at IT Nation Connect in November of 21 where I saw MJ speaking, and he kind of touched on this topic a little bit about how one day maybe we can have community members come to each other's aid. And I didn't know him. I had never met MJ. So I stuck around at the end of his presentation and, kind of stalked in the back, waiting for him to be free, and introduced myself, told him quickly about my story and this idea, this web domain name that I registered and sort of the idea behind it. I actually had a mock page of it up at some point. And, he instantly fell in love with the idea and put the full weight of CompTIA's resources behind this. And we had talked about, even prior to that, where an organization like this might land, because I can't, as an individual, and even if my company funded it, we don't have the resources to be able to execute on a vision like this. So we thought about, Vicky, for instance, we thought about maybe approaching a ConnectWise. But again, as much as I love ConnectWise, well, we didn't want to park it in any particular vendor. We thought about some other vendors as well that don't compete with ConnectWise. And we just felt like, well, in my mind, CompTIA is like Switzerland, right? It's the perfect neutral ground to park something like this, where like no one is going to feel competitive at all in this idea. So just sort of fast forwarding, they provided us a resource, a gentleman by the name of Miles, who's been unbelievably great. If you know Miles, he's just an amazing human being, has been really helping us. We assembled a group of other volunteers, including past victims. I am now the chair of the emergency response team, which is what we rebranded it as. And I've got people like Matt Lee from PAX 8, who's my co-chair. And if you go to msp911.org, it'll redirect to a CompTIA page, but you can see the full list of all the other people on that leadership team. So it was a long process in the making, but we finally launched it. We have a system by which people can report a case by filling out a web form. We'll get notified. We have a case management system for privacy concerns to make sure that we're not, that we're keeping things private. And essentially, what is the service that we're delivering here? Is initially it's coaching, mentoring, and me just being a friend at your side to help you walk through this process. We do have a structured methodology for making sure that we're providing you the proper guidance and steering you always back to legal counsel. But things like, hey, if this is a fresh attack, do you have cyber liability? Did you call them? If you didn't, maybe hang up on us and go make that first phone call to them. So that's just an example of different things that we walk them through. But they've been, the CompTIA has been really excellent at helping us bring this idea to fruition. And since I want to say, actually, it was Vicky, it was at the CompTIA year-end planning meeting that you and I attended that we received our first.
We got the first case.
Came through there, and since then we've had two more. One of which was from a female business leader of an MSP who was attacked, and although she reported it after, I've been helping her sort of with the emotional and psychological impact on what it does to an owner, to employees, to clients, to families. And so she and I have become very friendly over text messaging, right? We've had a few phone calls.
So it's a support. It's a support, right?
It's a support.
You've been through it.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to make the point that you've walked in those shoes before, and I think that goes a long way in building that trust and making sure that people who have fallen victim to an attack really understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And it's great to see, like, again, it was really compelling to see that happening in real time at the year-end planning session at CompTIA. You guys all kicking into high gear to help the first person who called in.
It was thrilling in some ways, like we kind of joke, like this is a service we don't want anyone ever to have to use. Like we want to be out of business, but at the same time, we sort of want the calls. I do need to point out, because sometimes people are a little confused and they think that there's a fee attached to this service. This is a 100% volunteer led and run effort. No money changes hands. Even if you said, hey, Robert, it was so valuable to talk to you, like, let me send you some money, I would say no. Like, if you want to write a check to a charity, go right ahead and do that. But this is not a service that comes with an invoice, right? It is just purely MSPs looking to help other MSPs. And I shouldn't say MSPs because it's really community.
It is community focused. And I know that we're running links on the bottom of the screen here. So make sure that you take this link and you bookmark it, because hopefully you don't need it, to Robert's point. But if you ever do, you'll know how to get to the bat phone, the CompTIA bat phone. So thank you, Robert, so much for sharing that story with us. And I think it's really good to understand from a reactive approach, like what resources the community has at their disposal, right? To be able to help our partners and MSPs and small businesses out there. But from a proactive approach, I know that there's also additional resources that CompTIA offers to be able to really set partners in the MSP community up for success. So Wayne, I was wondering if you could touch on that for a little bit. Maybe we could start with the CompTIA ISAO. I feel like that's a nice tie-in with the emergency response team.
Yes. So the Information Sharing and Analysis Organization is dedicated to providing actionable and sometimes not, maybe it's just informational threat intelligence to individuals, right? The upside for the ISAO for solution providers is that it's included in your annual CompTIA membership. So for those of you that may not be aware, the annual CompTIA membership is only $450, but CompTIA uses companies as the members, not individuals, right? So unlike the certification side, where that's obviously an individual thing, the company joins, they get access to the ISAO by just re-registering, because we have to make sure that we control China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea from accessing, because we're a global organization, right? So we want to make sure that the intel for the rest of the free world is available to them and not being used to facilitate terrorist, nation state, or hacktivists, or any of those other type of folks that are looking to do harm and get a payday. So the ISAO is there. It's included. You actually get access to Splunk TrueStar, which allows you to see indicators of compromise, not only inside of your own system. You can ingest your feed into TrueStar if you don't already have a SIM. If you already have a SIM, you can export the feeds into your SIM product as well if you're doing your own threat hunting aspect. So that's the ISAO, right? So global MSPs, vendors, other distributors actually coming together to provide intelligence and insight to what folks are seeing out there in the world today. That's really what the ISAO is designed to do, and the cyber forum aspect of the ISAO.
Gotcha. How many years has the ISAO been around?
The ISAO itself at CompTIA has been around since. Well, that's a really good question.
Less than 5, I feel like, right?
Oh, definitely less than 5. Yeah, no, I think it came over to CompTIA probably in 2021.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, and MJ was the initial owner of the CompTIA ISAO, right? Or the initial
director.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the correct terminology there. Yeah, the executive director. Sorry. Don Juan ate my notes. He literally ate my show notes that I posted up on a piece of paper right in front of us.
MJ passed that torch to me when I joined CompTIA in March of 22.
Okay, gotcha. All right, and go ahead.
Well, I was going to say some of the other proactive things, right? The goal for us inside of cybersecurity programs here at CompTIA is to minimize the impact of an event, right? You're not going to prevent something from happening, but you can minimize the impact. And that is probably the most important part of this whole scenario. And to do that, we actually revamped with member help. It was called the Security Trust Mark Plus. It was around 1819 of the NIST cybersecurity framework controls. That has been around since 2008, by the way. We revamped the entire thing and relaunched it last March at CCF. It's called the CompTIA Cybersecurity Trust Mark now. It consists of 100.
And just, I know there's a lot of acronyms here, so I just want to make sure everybody kind of who's listening in that may not be familiar with CompTIA's events. CCF is their Communities and Councils Forum, which takes place in Chicago, the homeland of CompTIA, or the headquarters of CompTIA. And so, go ahead. Sorry. Yes.
No. Thank you for pointing that out. So now the new Cybersecurity Trust Mark is still in organizational accreditation. It contains 177 safeguards in version 1, most of which, I want to say 87% are the CIS Critical Security 18. We have some IG3, not all IG3, right? But we do have all IG1, a good chunk of IG2, and some of the IG3 as well. But the point behind this is...
The point behind is that you have great resources at your disposal. Yeah. Wayne just went out. But I know there's so much content that CompTIA provides and that the ISAO provides. And, I think ultimately, if anybody tuning in is seeing the bottom of your screen, you can leverage CompTIA for free for up to 1 year. There's a membership opportunity that we're presenting for you here today. So make sure you take advantage of it if you're not currently a member. But yeah, welcome back, Wayne. We were just talking
Oh,
about
sorry.
the
I
fact
know
that
everybody's
no, it's
everybody's
okay.
blowing up my phone. This is so note to self: don't do any more of these from your phone. Try to do them from your laptop. Um, uh, but the point is, we're partnering with Crest International to do the accreditation side of things, just like the Center for Internet Security has done with their set. So there is a cost associated with doing the trust mark. Um, it's compared to some of the other things that are out there, it's actually very minimal, and most of the cost associated is offset for the audit side is actually offset by CompTIA and a lot of the things that we're doing anyway. So the overall cost to obtain a trust mark is not, in my mind, is not very expensive, quite honestly, and it can actually
Okay.
help folks get prepared for any other accreditation that they may need to go after, right? So understanding from a foundational security program perspective, how to get all your policies properly aligned, how to get them implemented, working on third-party vendor risk management as an example, right? Identity and access management. All of those things are included as you go through the trust mark. And again, to what we've been talking about here is community. There's a whole community effort to help raise everybody up that's going through the trust mark. It is absolutely the community coming together to help solution providers succeed in achieving something that is very important, right? And that's really to be able to stay
Yep.
in business tomorrow by minimizing that impact and getting things implemented that we never thought we could before.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I know that that's a lot of content that Wayne was just describing, right? But I think that really what we're all trying to say here is that there's a lot of great resources that CompTIA has. And really the first step is making sure that you activate your membership. And there are resources within the CompTIA community. Like myself, I'm in the advisory councils. You've got Wayne as part of the CompTIA ISA. You've got Robert, who is heading up the emergency response team. I would say if you're not connected to Wayne or Robert on LinkedIn, that's a great place to start as well. Gentlemen, I know we only have a few minutes left. I know we got a hard stop today in about a minute or so. Is there anything else you'd want to leave our audience with? Robert, let's start with you.
Well, you mentioned contacting both of us. Always open to contacting with people online and continuing the conversation. We are still in collection mode for volunteers for the emergency response team. But if you do fill out a form or have filled out a form and have not heard back from us yet, please be patient. Remember that we are volunteers, all running busy lives and just doing our best to vet candidates and see what their strengths are in being able to help the community. But if you have submitted on that and haven't heard back, I promise you someone will get back to you, in the upcoming weeks and months. We're just, kind of going through some hurdles. Wayne, what about you?
Look, I just want to thank ConnectWise for, again, allowing Robert and I to get the word out, right? Because the best kept secret, we keep hearing about it all the time, is CompTIA and all of the
Yep.
wonderful things that we're doing here. And so I want to say thank you, Vicki, Jessica, Jason, if McGee is watching as well. Really appreciate the fact because ConnectWise does step up quite a bit inside of the community structure, which you can see they're actually offering free one-year memberships to CompTIA as well. And, they want to do the right thing for the community. And that's great. It's been a wonderful partnership with ConnectWise. And there are many others out there as well that also do similar things, give away memberships. And so my point is, get involved,
Point is get involved
Yeah,
and make sure that you're reaching out to the to the resources that you know within the community to figure out how to get more engaged with CompTIA. And we'll also have CompTIA back on for some future sessions here on the Friday Field Report. But gentlemen, I just wanted to say thank you again from the bottom of my heart for ConnectWise, for anybody that's listening in. We appreciate you joining us today. And everybody, stay safe out there. Happy
appreciate you.
Friday.
Take care.